getting real sick and tired of all the accommodations that my Gen Z coworkers need. I swear, every single one of them is like, oh, can I leave work early? I have to go to therapy. Can I have a little bit more time on this project? I have ADHD or whatever. Back when I started at this job, we didn't have any of that. No breaks, no accommodations. Wake up, walk outside cave, get big rock, hunt mammoth, bring mammoth back to cave. Sun go down, dark, cold, scary. Where sun go? Wake up, sun back in sky. How sun back in sky? How sun back in sky? And that's something Gen Z just doesn't know anything about.
I'm a Gen Z in corporate. Of course, I'm not going to that meeting that's during my lunchtime. Sorry, take it off the schedule. I'm a Gen Z in corporate. Of course, the screen is hitting the keyboard at 5 o'clock on the dot. Maybe even 4:30. Sorry. I'm a Gen Z in corporate. What do you mean, what is a mental health day? Figure it out, because I'm taking one a month. Sorry.
3 out of 4 managers hate working with Gen Z, and here's why. It's so bad that 27% of employers have fired the employee within the first month. Article from Where This Comes From states that most Gen Zers lack motivation, effort, and get easily offended. So Gen Z, what do you think about that?
This younger generation aren't apparently working themselves to death.
Some of them have figured out that the country's a scam.
What's going on, you guys? JC Nita here, property owner, investor, and online content creation dabbler with another video. And today we're talking about apparently how Generation Z just doesn't want to work anymore.
Gen Z employees getting fired months after getting hired is a trend on the rise, according to a Forbes magazine article published today. And the majority of the article is a diatribe about how lazy Gen Z employees are. As the only Gen Z employee on my current team and the only Gen Z employee on my former team at my finance job, these are some things I strategically do to combat the stereotype of Gen Z being lazy. The biggest thing I do is once a week, I will send an email after everyone on the team's working hours have ended. I work East Coast. If you have team members who work West Coast, that means they're 3 hours behind you. And once a week, I will send a response to an email after 8 p.m. This does not mean I am necessarily doing work after 8 p.m. And when I was doing finance work, the response would be sent at like midnight once a week after the workday had ended for everyone else, so that everyone was like, wow, she is working so much later. The reason I do it at 8 instead of 5 or 6 is because of that time zone. You don't even have to do work, but the idea and the perception that you are willing to work and willing to log in, go above and beyond, even though you're literally just sending an email that's like, thank you so much for the edits, I'm gonna jump on this tomorrow morning, is enough. The idea that you are going to be so heavily burdened by sending back this email while you're sitting watching TV at home, crazy. If you can text your friends about their boy problems, you can reply to your manager once a week late and get all of these kudos for being so dedicated and so willing to work hard. I know a lot of people refuse to cross that work-life boundary, but Gen Z has this annoying stereotype we have to deal with, and this is one of the easier ways.
This is some good game. She's actually pretty strategic with this. Like she said, she's not really even doing extra work, but she's giving that perception. And oftentimes, perception is what? Reality. So this is pretty cool. And it is annoying because, listen, as a resident millennial, and fun fact, I just found out I'm apparently a Zennial, which essentially is a young millennial / older Gen Z person between like 1990 and 2000. Didn't know that until recently, so I guess I'm part of that club. But anyways, I'm a millennial, and we have the same stigma. Oh, they're lazy, they're entitled, they're sensitive. And Gen Z has it worse. I think it's just what younger generations get in the workforce, to be honest. Nonetheless, when I first had my first job, I would stay late all the time in the office. I don't remember why I even did it at this point. But I stayed late, and there was a lady that was always there late as well. Older lady, probably a boomer. And she would always compliment me about how late I would stay in the office. Half of the time I wasn't even working. I was there probably just waiting out traffic. But she saw me in my seat, and because of that, I got favor and earned kudos for that just because she saw me there. Like I said, wasn't really even working most of the time. So it's that perception. And I guess certain generations, they see that you being there means you're actually working hard, you're dedicating yourself, which sometimes you are.
This younger generation aren't apparently working themselves to death.
Some of them have figured out that the country's a scam. And here's the good news. They're not wrong. And when you figured out the country's a scam, you can approach it the way a con artist or a scammer would approach it, which is what a lot of them do. They invent mental health ailments they don't have. They take days off on end. They terrify their superiors into respecting their mediocre, shoddy quality of work. This is something that Gen Z has latched onto. This is something that I fully support. This is their way of rising through the ranks. They're taking advantage of people that they work with, making them tolerate less and less work and work of a lower and lower quality because they've realized that a lot of this is bullshit. So they're like, why shouldn't I get in on it?
Whoa, tell me how you really feel. Okay, first of all, I disagree with this guy. The United States is not a scam. Okay, yes, things are tougher now and blah, 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 but not a scam. And all these things he's saying about mental health and whatnot, and this is real stuff. Is there an exaggeration and an abuse or misuse of some things? Sure. And is that human nature? Sure. But overall, I don't know. This is a little bit extra. Even since I've been in the workforce, which hasn't been that long, I don't think. Looking back on it, it's been about 10 years. Things have changed that I've noticed. But I think it's more so about personality. I think that more so than it is your generation you're part of, it's your personality. There's some people who are well suited for corporate life. But then there are also people who aren't so suited for that. And I think that there was a big push towards going to college to get a degree to get a white collar job. And it's forcing people into molds they don't fit in. And that's not to say that white collar jobs are better than blue collar jobs or better than jobs that are in agriculture, I don't know if that counts as blue collar, or jobs that are in other fields, arts, humanities, whatever. Everything has their place and their benefit and their purpose. And I think that a lot of times some of the people that you get that do what he says are people who are not in the right fit for themselves. So it might be someone who should be, say, a farmhand or a painter or a tour guide or you name it, but they're not doing that. And they're sitting in an office in a cubicle for 8 hours a day. Of course they're gonna slack off. Of course they're gonna be lazy. Of course they're not gonna be motivated because they're not doing something that fits them. Just like that same person that might be a great corporate person would probably suck as a park ranger. You know what I mean? So I think it has more to do with personality than it does with your actual generation that you're part of.
Is it really so shocking to learn that Gen Z doesn't really have the same appetite for climbing the corporate ladder anymore, when we are relentlessly reminded in so many ways by our culture that labor is not viewed as an asset but instead a cost? The most high-paid positions in society are finance, more specifically private equity and hedge funds that infiltrate companies and cost cut. What's the highest cost? Labor. So it's always heads on spikes. That's what people want, right? So it's a completely adversarial relationship that capital has with labor now. If you want to get paid the most, you have to fire the most. And why would you work hard for a company that views you as a nuisance, right? They can't wait to get rid of you. That's what AI is all about. It's about taking over what you're doing. It's about taking skilled labor completely away from society so there's only Amazon delivery drivers left, and I don't know, that's pretty much it. And private equity is coming for everything too. HVAC, electricians, all of that. All of those companies are being bought up now. So no wonder we want to pursue our hobbies and things like that. We've been told by capitalists over and over again that they can't wait to replace us, so we don't want to work for them.
You know, what he said was very, I don't want to use the word profound, but it was very insightful. And it's something I hadn't thought about much before, but he makes a really great point in that there is a direct conflict between labor, employees like myself, and the owners of the company that you likely work for. So you might work for a company and you have no idea who owns it. You think that maybe you don't know who owns it. Maybe you think it's some old dude or some old woman sitting on a pile of money with a cigar in their mouth. But a lot of times nowadays, a lot of these companies, especially mid-sized and smaller companies, are getting bought up by what are called private equity firms. And the goal of private equity firms, sometimes they're called like corporate raiders, or at least they were back in the day. Their goal is to buy a company, take it over. Sometimes they do it hostile, let's not get off track. They come in, they buy the company. The goal is to make it more efficient and to usually sell that company for a profit. That's the goal. The way they do that oftentimes is by breaking the company up, or they're gonna go in and try to increase the efficiency of the company. Think of like what Elon Musk and Vivek are trying to do with the Doge thing with the federal government. They go in, they find ways to cut costs, save money. Oftentimes, what does that mean? As he correctly stated, that is getting rid of dead weight, because the biggest expense that a company has is their payroll. So a private equity company comes in, they buy the company, they cut people, right? That's a big way to cut costs. See people walking out with their cardboard boxes, with their son's trophy and their wife's picture in it, and they're done. So, I mean, that's very interesting that he says that. A hedge fund's a bit different. I'm not sure how he tied the hedge fund part into it. I don't know if you said hedge fund or not, but hedge funds typically, they invest in more liquid assets, not businesses. So think of it as like invested in the stock market for high net worth individuals. Whereas me and you, we're gonna go on to Vanguard or Fidelity and we're gonna buy an S&P 500 index fund or something. With a hedge fund, you're going to need a certain minimum net worth to buy in. Then the people that manage a hedge fund are going to invest in assets that me and you probably don't have access to. They also invest in stuff that we do have access to, but they use more complex ways of getting the return. This is getting way too technical. Point is, What he said is very interesting. So, I mean, it's true. It's true. That seems true anyways.
Gen Z work takes make me feel like a raging boomer, and I am literally Gen Z myself. I saw a creator that was making a video agreeing with this, basically saying that this made sense back in the day when people used to have loyalty to their company because they were paid livable wages and because they had things that incentivized them to stay at the companies. But now that people are changing jobs every few years, this doesn't make sense and we don't get paid enough to have to go into work events during our free time. My immediate thought was that y'all are missing the plot, okay? And I went to Twitter and let me show you, hold on. I saw this tweet and I was literally like, this is why you socialize with your coworkers, okay? Nobody is saying that you need to be best friends with your coworkers, but yes, you absolutely want to be personable and build a relationship with your coworkers because they will look out for you. I saved the video before I even read the article, y'all, but when I read it, this author literally says why it's important to socialize at work. Their dad was spared from losing his job in the 2008 recession because of the relationship that he had with his boss. It doesn't matter if you change jobs every single year. Relationships matter, y'all. It's a reason that people say it's not what you know, but who you know. You want to have strong relationships with people who are not only going to look out for you when you need it, but who are going to think of you for opportunities that are presented to them when you're not in the room. No one is saying that you need to be best friends with your coworkers. No one's saying that you need to go to the events and get, blackout drunk. Learn how to show face and keep it cute.
Listen, I'm going to have to agree with her on this. I am the type of person who does not despises going to, or highly dislikes going to social events that are related to work. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite thing. But her point still remains that it's who you know over what you know. 100%. Like I said in other videos, I think 75% or more of the jobs that I haven't had that many, but the jobs I've had since I graduated college have come from who I know. A friend of a friend, a direct friend, what have you, a former boss, or even if back in the day, I don't know if they do it so much now, where they always ask for referrals and recommendations from former people you used to work with or supervisors, which I always thought was silly, and people lie and make it up anyways. But back when that was a thing, that helped me as well, because I always had good relationships with my supervisors. And so what she's saying is 100% spot on. And I guess the point is, I wanted to end this out on a good note, because the bad rap that Gen Z gets is that they're lazy, antisocial, and what have you. But I think that it's important that even if you are an antisocial Gen Z, to make sure that you still make time to develop those relationships with people, especially who you work with, because that's going to be what helps you get a job and even keep your job. Like she mentioned with that reference from the 2008 recession, when that person's father was spared because he was close to his manager. So with that being said, if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate you for continuing to rock with me. If you feel so inclined to like and subscribe, because it really does help with the YouTube algorithm and I really appreciate it. And until next time, make smart financial decisions.